Welcome back to the Dropout Drop-In. I'm producer Liz.
I'm the Jordan Brown.
And we didn't think of a segue this week.
We didn't. Nope. Carlos is watching. That's the segue.
This week on the Dropout Drop-In, we're going to do all of these stories that have been piling up while we have been talking about all the Dimension 20 news. And Jordan, the list is long this week. We're going to cover very important people, Smartypants, Actually, which are all kind of premiering or at these incredible points in their seasons. But first, we have to talk about the elephant in the room, which is the potential Easter egg left in our comments on last week's episode.
Yeah. I mean, I think it is... look, I don't know how you've interpreted it. Carlos Luna left a cooked egg emoji and a timestamp to us putting all our eggs in one basket that the next Intrepid Hero season is going to be Starstruck Odyssey. I have interpreted that as we are wrong. That is my interpretation.
So it could be a few things. It could mean we're cooked. We're cooked. We're done. Yeah. We're cooked. It could mean that the eggs are in such the right basket that they're going to make a beautiful omelet of Dimension 20 for us this year. It could just be that that's one of the best egg emojis that the keyboard has to offer.
That is also possible. That is, look, knowing Carlos pretty well, it could mean absolutely nothing. The man loves to comment just like an eyeballs emoji on videos just for fun. So the fact that he chose the timestamp of eggs and then made a relatable emoji to it, iconic. We love it. We'll find out in a month and a half or so.
It also made me giggle because when I saw the notification come up, there was a point in the episode where we were talking about Carlos and Carlos and the WWE connections and that whole season coming together. But I thought that's what he was maybe commenting about. No, it was us fully saying, we know what you're up to. And spoiler alert, if you've never watched this podcast, we rarely know what Dimension 20 is up to. And we have often been wrong.
We almost never know.
And that's half the fun of doing a predictions podcast, is we can give you all of our speculation and then see how wildly different the show ends up being. It's very fun. But we have a little bit of a break from Dimension 20, and in the meantime, when we're not watching Dimension 20, those of us that have thousands of dollars of disposable income can bid on the minis that are currently up for auction.
Yeah, as of recording this, we are in phase 1 or wave 1, I never remember what it's called, of the Dimension 20 Fantasy High Junior Year auction. By the time you're seeing this, what do you think, Liz? Phase 4? Okay,
phase
okay.
4. Without a doubt. But I will say it's been very fun watching people bid on these minis when, I don't know about you, Jordan, but I certainly am not bidding this round. And then when you put the Canadian dollar conversion on any of these minis right now, oh boy, thousands of dollars for a little Kalina or...
Yeah, I should apologize to someone at least because I made a video where I was like, hey, can you believe this? There's a Fig Faith playing guitar mini that's only $2,000. That's $10,000 cheaper than the last time there was a Fig mini. And that mini went up $4,000 overnight. And I was like, oh, whoops, that one might be on me. Because no other mini jumped in price like that. Like, they've gone up a little bit, but no other mini was like, oh, a huge spike. So, sorry.
The whisper of the minis auction. These are directing people towards the minis that, like, no one wants. Not like the figs of them all.
I did mention in said video that some of the Rage Wizards were around like $300, and I got a comment from an angry person who was like, don't mention the mini I'm currently winning.
I will say, if I had the money to be bidding, I think there's a bit of joy in going after the unnamed characters versus the ones that are so iconic. Because for me personally, if I had a Fig on my shelf, she would be on the shelf, and that would be the life of the Fig mini. But if I got Rage Wizard 3, you bet every campaign I'm running in my home game is going to find a way to have a Rage Wizard involved in it. Like, why not?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Also, like, shout out to Mall Fire Elemental 2, which I believe has the tray of shrimp. Like, it's so good, and it's $626. So cheap for a Dimension 20 mini. Yeah, someone also did point out that I said the word only $2,000 about Fig. A number of people did, and I was like, it's comparative to the fact that the last time there was a Fig mini up for auction, it set the record at $12,555.
Mhm.
2000 is only when you're talking about how much Fig normally goes for. And granted, Fig is now at 6,500. So,
With a couple hours to go, so that could
yeah,
change too.
yeah.
And we'll see which bad kid ends up being the most auctioned off highest price mini this round as well. Because
Yeah, I'm assuming we'll have a couple of figs, at least two for sure. I don't know how many. Like I'm assuming we've got a couple of the bad kids as the season progresses, because this one has a pretty cheap Fabian on the Hangman, and obviously we're gonna have just a regular Fabian at some point, which will be very
totally.
fun. I can tell you what they are going towards. It's LA Fires, PCRF. There is an education one, Transgender Law Center, and I think an immigration one.
Yes, I just found it here. I did have it written down and I forgot. So, Transgender Law Center, give directly for LA Fire Relief, Asylum Access, and Improve Education Fund, along with PCRF.
I nailed it.
Yay!
I didn't know all the names of them, but I got the topic areas right.
Yes, you sure did. So, and like we said during the last auction as well, we'll put the links below so that if people want to donate directly, if you don't have $5,000 for a Fig Mini, you can, also just still support these causes, which is
Yeah.
great. But speaking of Fig, we got incredible, earth-shattering news about Emily this week, which
I
I,
just. I think. Look, everyone is talking about it. I think, and I'm going to look it up right now. Well, I can't look it up because it would be so many. Anyway, it's the first time we're getting Emily Axford on a dropout show that is not Dimension 20.
can you believe it? I didn't think
Incredible.
we'd see a day like this, Jordan.
Yeah, I will say, like, I have been behind the scenes pushing for an all NADPOD couch on Dirty Laundry. And look, like I'm obviously huge fan of Emily Axford, but we know that she is so busy, and along with obviously Murph as well. That's why we don't see them outside of the dome. And yeah, so thrilled. I don't think we said it. She's going to be on Gastronauts along with truly an iconic roundup of folks: Cameron Esposito, Paul F. Tompkins, some of our more regular.
Yep.
Yeah, Katie Maravich, Siobhan Thompson, Erica Ishii, some folks that you would expect, but then also Scott Ackerman, which I think people are also really excited to see. Not only Scott Ackerman on Dropout, but to see what wild challenge he is going to bring to the chefs, because he's going to bring something weird, and I love that.
It's really interesting to me looking at this lineup and thinking about how these are comedians that are known for going the distance and kind of stretching the elastic band and really pushing the boundaries of whatever you put them in. And
Yes.
thinking about season one of the show and how it really towed that line of challenges that met the kind of out of the box bar, and then some challenges that felt like safer choices or balancing to the more out of the box ones. It
Yeah.
seems like from this lineup, we're going all the way out of the box all
Yeah.
of the time.
I would say for NADPOD fans who are like deep in the weeds on it, I made a video talking about this, but like Emily Exford has some of the weirdest food opinions I've ever seen in my life. Like, had trouble making a grilled cheese, blamed it on the fact that she was using shredded cheese, which probably was the problem, but also a wild choice to make a grilled cheese with. As a child, she got marshmallows from like Lucky Charms as a reward for practicing her piano. They were lined up along the piano, but it wasn't all marshmallows, so it was like the normal cereal pieces and the marshmallows mixed in. Just like hemp milk, if you're a fan, she wanted to start a chant that was gimme a hemp, and then instead of it being the thing you expect, which is hemp, it was supposed to be you got your milk, which doesn't make sense. That's not how the chant goes. Anyway, I'm so excited. She's so weird in the most loving way possible. I can't wait to see what she does.
I hope the internet just cheers her the hell on and receives it with open arms, because this
Yeah.
could be the gateway that we have been waiting for to get Emily onto other
Yes.
Dropout shows.
Yeah, I look. I want to. Obviously, we want to see her on "Make Some Noise" and "Game Changer," but like, just like I already said, I want to see her on "Dirty Laundry." I want to see her on "Thousand Airs" as well. If that's coming back, who knows? I don't know how popular the first season was. We haven't heard anything about it yet, but I want to like she is such a good person to bring out of Dimension 20, and so beloved by the fans. But yeah, it's exciting.
We also had her return to Instagram with the Rolling Stone piece that dropped about D20 at Madison Square Garden. So it feels like this could be the year of Emily's
Yes.
internet comeback a little bit. That said, shout out to Gastronauts for wrapping season 2. We know that it's completely done productions and now it's moving into post production. I imagine we're seeing this year for certain, towards the end of the year, maybe end of summer or fall. Shout out to Jordan Myrick, who got a second season of the show. I think it's
Yeah.
such a feat to have any show go into a season 2, and this one is so out of the box and
Yeah.
complicated to produce. So it's incredible to see Jordan back behind the steering wheel with that whole production team.
Yeah, well, incredibly well deserved. They are such a good host. They were so great in season one. I can't wait to see. I hope in the look. I don't know. I don't remember what was on our list of things, but I'm going to transition us to Smarty Pants because I'm hoping Gastronauts does the thing that Smarty Pants did, which is learn what works best in your show and incorporate that into the second season, which I have to imagine they will. And I think that is exactly what we've seen in one episode of Smarty Pants. But from my chat with Reika, what I think we are going to see this season.
Jordan, that was a perfect transition, and I think everyone should leave a little clapping emoji in the comments for that. Like, I couldn't have said it better myself. I completely agree with you. Starting from the bar that Smarty Pants had to reach going into season 2. Season 1, really funny and fantastic. Not perfect. When you have the whole internet debating where a chair is in a room, you know that there like might be some things that you thought made sense when you were producing that didn't quite translate. And the chair also being a metaphor for just shows in general. When you think you've landed something and then the audience sees it and you realize, oh shit, like something we thought worked clearly didn't translate. It feels like Smarty Pants evaluated that across the board in what they did in
Yeah.
at least the first episode we've seen of
Yeah,
season.
I think obviously like a huge lean in to the fact that they are a secret society, a huge I'd say increased role for what Reika is doing, which is it's so welcome. We like that was maybe my biggest complaint about season one is that Reika was the host, but it felt more like a title only because she was there to occasionally like interject, but not like direct to the conversation, which feels like she's doing. Yeah, and then obviously moving her chair so that it can be seen on camera with other people and isn't a full mystery as to where she is at.
I commented this on Paul's Instagram post about episode 1, but I think that opening segment goes unbelievably hard. I absolutely love it. I think that part of what season 1 was missing for me was some kind of, you know, hub and spoke approach. There was no hub, all spokes all the time. And even in the sense of like, sometimes in some episodes they would cut from one presentation to the next and it would be an entirely different audience like seated for that presentation versus the last one we saw. So it didn't there was a sense of cohesion that season 1 did not have for me that immediately in season 2 Reika starts, sets the tone, makes it feel like a society. Hey, our dues are all going towards restaurants. What the hell is happening? To the same group of people staying for all 3 of those presentations, to the way that they wrap it, and it's a little bit less everyone stands up and does what they want, a little bit more choreographed, so we get little close-ups of everyone that was featured in the episode. It doesn't feel like a big, mismatch of characters. Oh, I loved it. I loved the cohesion. I think Reika is the perfect hub for all of the chaos here because Reika's chaotic in her own way that is also extremely grounded and believable immediately.
Yeah.
Couldn't be better.
Yeah, I also say like when I talked to Reika about season 2, she talked about like how they have 4 walls, a 4-wall set, which is really interesting and not something that I had thought of because obviously there has to be a break in the walls for them to be filming, but there is like a little jut where the presentation is, so there is a 4th wall, and so like she talked about how they are using the space more, that comedians are using that space more, that they are utilizing a thing that no other Dropout show can do because they have a live audience. Granted, it is comedians, but like they have people to interact with in a way that no other Dropout show has. And yeah, I mean, I think obviously we saw it. We saw like Jeremy's wild run around the studio, like the lighting changes,
Yeah.
the dog people that came running in to prove that dogs were like all of that so worked into the space that they were using so well, and the fact that there were other people there that they could play off of. I think such a I don't want to say it's a huge improvement, because that sounds like I didn't like season one, and I loved season one, and I think it's a huge improvement over season one.
I think about Dimension 20 and how the early seasons of Dimension 20, love, love them terribly. They're great. But you see the new seasons of Dimension 20 coming out and you go, wow,
Yeah.
they are incredible on another level that season one could not have dreamed of operating on. I see that with Smarty Pants, where it's like season one, incredibly charming, incredibly fun to watch. But now that you see the evolution going into season two, it's like, right, this is really clever and smart and evolved in a way that season one was not. And you only get that when you give shows a chance to breathe. And I'm excited to see that go to Gastronauts as well, and see what choices they're bringing into Gastronauts. For me, hopefully it's maybe more investment in some of the cookware that these professional chefs get to use, so you don't have some of the hiccups that happened in season one. That'd be
Yes.
nice, but
Yeah.
we'll see.
We'll see. Yeah, it's. I have to imagine that, as well as a stretching, like you said, of what the elasticity of what a challenge can even be. Obviously, we've got folks like Siobhan Thompson, who is gluten free. We may get a full. What if we had a full gluten free episode of just like,
My dream.
yeah,
My dream.
yeah. But yeah, I was gonna say, like, I talked to Reika about Smarty Pants season two, and I asked her, I was like, look, here's my big three for season one. The people that people were talking about for season one. Now, this is not to say they're the best presentations. People got mad at me in my comments when I posted a video. It was Katie, it was Paul, and it was Teo. Like, those were the three that, like, when I asked, like, hey, who should we be on the lookout for? Because I talked to a bunch of people that were on Smarty Pants before season one premiered, and everyone, without fail, mentioned those three people. And because for good reason, they also were three of the best presentations. You can fight if you want. But when I asked her about, like, yeah, who should we be on the lookout for, she mentioned Jeremy, which I think the energy was wild, and Demi, that she was like, Demi's is insane. And I posted that to Instagram, and Demi commented, I'm sane on it. That's it. And I can't wait. I cannot wait. I'm my fear is that he is last, that he is going to be our finale presentation, like Teo's was, to like truly end the season on the wildest note. But whenever it is, I'm so excited.
Well, it means we're gonna have to wait like 3 months to see whatever Demi's got cooking. That's
Yeah.
not gonna work for Liz, but maybe we can see what we can get. No, we're definitely gonna have to wait that long.
Yeah.
I love Demi. I'm so excited to hear that that's the one to wait for. I do think I'm gonna cast like a bold. If you saw the new episode of VIP, which Jordan and I have, VIP exclusive. Imagine that transition happening right now. I think that Jeremy has entered into Dropout Hall of Fame status for what he did
Yeah.
on Smarty Pants.
Yeah, I don't think you're wrong. In a couple of weeks, I'm going to talk to Matt Pollock, the director of Smarty Pants, and I'm really excited to talk to him about Jeremy's presentation generally, but also specifically about leaving in the booger. That, like, leaving that whole chunk, like the decision to leave that whole thing in. I'm sure he was fine with it. Because I've seen him post other content on the internet. But boy, that really elevated it to, oh, this is fully like a mania episode on television.
It's performance art in a way that up until this point we've not seen so frequently on Smarty Pants. And I just find that across his dropout appearances, that's his approach. It's, I'm not here to play the game. I'm here to do like my style of physical comedy for the world in whatever kind of elements you give me to work with. Like, I don't think you can say what he did was a presentation the same way that Mike Trapp's did. Like,
Yeah.
Mike Trapp gives a PowerPoint presentation like in a corporate office, and that's not what Jeremy did.
No.
I'm just so impressed by the bar he's raising for himself, you know?
Yeah, and obviously we saw him live in New York, and absolutely was one of the best parts of that show, and brought a very similar energy of just like he and like Jacob got into a full-fledged like tiff manufactured for our enjoyment, but of where they were just genuinely mad at each other for like the entire show. It was so great.
So, so good. I'm excited to see what else they put him up to across this year on
Yeah,
Dropout. I'm excited about
I
him being more
I
immersed
feel
in the
like we saw him in for a second in game. Yeah, no, he's definitely in Game Changer. He's spinning the wheel. We get to see him in Game Changer. Yes.
So excited. Okay, Jordan, let's talk about VIP.
Good God, Bobby Moynihan.
We've said, if you listen to the Dropout Drop-In, you know we've said Bobby's going to be one of the episodes of the season,
Yeah,
without a doubt.
yeah.
And I mean, you said it best, so I'll let you say it again. This is an all-timer.
Yeah, an all timer for a show that is nothing but all timers. Like it's so hard to like make an after season one. It's so hard to come into season two and be like, yeah, that is like the bar that you could, unlike unlike the other shows we just talked about, they had figured it out in season one. They got it. They didn't. There was like there's a lot they could play with, and obviously we are seeing a lot of like them. But like this was not like a, all right, what worked, what didn't work. Like let's really like play with this space, and like we don't have to move host Vic's chair so that people know where Vic is on set. And yeah, I from the moment, first of all, shout out to Bobby for guessing right. The first and only person to guess correctly as to what prosthetics he was wearing. I also saw he shared it on Instagram. It was like, sorry, I guessed right. But yeah, that whole thing.
I will
Just
say, even though he guessed right, I felt like he did not let his knowledge of what he was doing impact his like on off button to do improv.
yes,
Like
yeah,
he didn't walk onto set going like I have a fully fledged character with a fully fledged backstory. I'm going to do it with you. Which not that that's a bad way to take the show, but other people have certainly walked on and been like, I've thought of all of this before we like started recording. Bobby
yeah. No,
walks in
you.
and is immediately like, what the hell is going on? I don't know
Yeah,
who I am. I don't know where I am. Like the
yeah.
most zero you can start from.
Yeah, like I mean, you see it in like Vic being like I found you in the back of a fajita truck, that like you see that beautiful like collaboration of improv can be as they move through that episode, and then yeah, I mean, look, people are going to talk about the like why is he wearing a mask? Did something happen? Is that a funny thing to talk about? Forever. It's one of the funniest things I've ever seen. Followed up immediately by the World Trade Center joke. Followed up immediately by the Bill Cosby joke that fully broke Vic. Yeah, my only concern with the episode is that they don't want to submit an episode where Vic breaks to an Emmy like list. I don't know what their thought process is for it. But that's my because it is one of the best episodes they've ever produced, and it's phenomenal.
It's well, if you think with me about how many episodes this season are all-time great episodes. Chris
Yeah,
Red,
yeah,
also an all-time great VIP episode. The oh my god, John Berlin, Kate Berlin and John Early
yeah,
and the
yes,
zombie soup dealers,
yeah.
all-time great in a completely different way again. I
And
don't know
oh,
how
hey,
we're
we
ever
can't
gonna
not we can't skip Anna Garcia Zeke. But
correct.
I think may still be. I think it's still my favorite episode of the season.
And
It
again,
is.
apples
It's
and
close though.
oranges. You can't compare what
Right.
Zeke and the Rock
Yes.
character was to Frozen Man who drives fajita truck for Chili's in 1986. Like it's completely different takes on it. I don't know how we're going to stack rank all these episodes at the end of the season, let alone pick what one might be the most palatable for Emmys viewers.
Yeah. Yeah, it was another one that like I'm sure Bobby Moynihan in the same way I think I mentioned on here that like Chris Red came in as a huge fan of the show and like had watched all the episodes, and that is why I think in his episode you see him lean so hard into what would be the best for host Vic to play with. This felt very similar to that of like Bobby Moynihan like looking at his hand and being like, well, I had to have been married because I can see a wedding band imprint, but I'm not wearing a wedding ring. Are you my wife? It's
And that Vic lore drop.
yes,
Wow. Wow,
just
wow, wow.
an incredible choice to be like, but what if Vic is actually evil? And I love it. I love it so much.
It's I'm so excited to see what the tone is next episode, right? Because we know that they don't shoot the episodes in the same order that they put the timeline together for us necessarily. So, like, where do we go from acknowledgement that host Vic is evil? Do we just go back to like regular level of hate the PA's evil, or are we like fully cranking it out?
Yeah, that'll be really fun to see if like this whole season progresses. I have to imagine it's gonna like dip back down to a normal level of because I just don't know how you can continue to be like
No,
and also like
I agree with you.
it feels impossible to one up. I've kept you frozen for 3 years so that I can try to get the exclusive interview of a frozen man.
To me, this really lands the same way. Like, I think you should leave, like Tim Robinson
Mhm.
comedy does. Like, there is no comparable to VIP
Yeah.
on the landscape, which is either going to continue to polarize voters and be like, that's just some weird indie stuff that like we don't care about, or it's going to draw in like the comedy heart of, and there's a motorcycle going by, which is really fun, and I'll try to edit that out later. It's very loud. It'll continue to draw in the people that vote in those categories, right? Because we know that there's like the core base of people qualified to vote in categories, and there's like the general basis of voters. I'm just interested to see like how this cast with this level of recognition and like reverence in the comedy scene reacts to this level because it's
Yeah.
wild.
Yeah. It is. I just it's so good. Yes, everything you said plus one.
Hooray!
VIP deserves all of the flowers, deserves all of the awards, and hopefully this is the year that it starts to get some more recognition. I'm very sad it lost the queerty. Like, obviously, well deserved Dimension 20's Dungeons and Drag Queens. I think I've been fully transparent and on record. I wanted Vic to win so that there was another award that was trapping Vic, host Vic, obviously, in being on
Mm-hmm.
Very Important People forever. Also, oh my god. Can we talk about that host Vic was forced to watch Dimension 20 at an HR
Out
meeting?
of HRV,
So funny.
what episode or season do you think Host Vic was forced to watch?
It has to be freshman year, right? Like it
Has
has
to
like
be.
just like they started them off and they're like, "Here you go. This is part of the show. This is part of the network you're on."
It's either season one, episode one, right? Or if you're thinking like in the time of like it's 2024 when they shot like the episodes, so to say, and also like fictionally it's taking place in 2024. It could have also been like, and this is the new season of Dimension 20 about to come out, and then it's like never stop blowing up, like episode
Yeah.
6 or something ridiculous with no context and just all wild.
I do like that a lot. That would be very fun.
That's a good question for another interview someday with Vic or
Yes.
people at
Yeah.
VIP. Hilarious. But we have one more show to talk about before we end this episode, and it's season 10 of Actually finally airing. We're 4 episodes in. What do you think of the season so far?
I mean, look, I obviously they're it's the best season of them actually they've ever done. It's that, and it's I'm I don't I hesitate to say that only because I'm like it can't stay this good,
Mm,
just like mathematically. Like there are going to be episodes that aren't as good. They're not. It's not them saying like they're going to be bad episodes, but like you just can't stay at this level of like four perfect episodes in a row. But we do know that there is the Real Housewives episode coming where they are dressed up as
which I am
housewives.
ready to finally win an episode of Actually on my
I
couch. I just want to say that. I'm
yeah.
ready to finally ace an episode.
Yeah, I'm like, and that one, that I'm more excited for that episode than any of the four we've seen, and I think the first four are the best they've ever done. It's incredible.
I'm curious your thoughts on this as someone whose comments are constantly filled with dropout and I only get it every once in a while. I've been noticing how polarizing this season has been in the sense that I agree with you. I think this is the strongest season of Actually, but because I have found the way that they've themed the episodes and gotten more niche and tighter in the niche for every episode has been like you're either watching an episode that you feel really good in or you relate to the couch in their ability to know or not know, or you're on the complete opposite end of the spectrum from that. And specifically with like the episode Gilmore Girls, Brats, and Totally Spies.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that was one that, if he says off the top, like, Twitter's been talking about this. The fans have wanted an episode like this, but very polarizing from the typical crowd that watches them, actually. It's a very different set of media to be drawing from.
Yeah,
I think it's
shout
better.
out to the Goose Girl, a friend of mine, Madeline, who posted it on Twitter. And just like again, like credit to Dropout
Mm-hmm.
for Iffy saying, "Here's the tweet. Here's the person who asked for this. We're doing this episode." Just like
I love it.
incredible.
I love it. So you find like, do you find it polarizing or do you find it like not maybe as much?
So as someone who like didn't grow up watching most of the things that just got that were part of that show, I still have, like, I don't know any of the housewives questions either. The thing that I love the most about those episodes is that the people on the couch are passionate about the thing, and that's super fun to me. And even when it's like the baby bracket, as long as you get people that are competitive and usually mean to each other, like I'm all about it. Yeah, I haven't seen anyone complaining about this season. The thing that I hate, and I made a video about this, is I have seen people being like, "Well, we were right to complain about last season because look at how much better we made it." And I'm like, "Ah!" But yeah, that's where I'm at on the internet.
Yeah, I hate, and I don't like to say that I hate things, but I do hate that opinion specifically because
Yeah,
I think that as someone that has produced many a thing imperfect, you sometimes have to publish things knowing what the room was for it to be better. And I think that there were essences of that across season 9, that it was like, oh, sometimes you get put into a production and the host, I'm not saying this is what happened to Iffy, but it has happened to me. The host starts to lose their voice and there's truly nothing you can do about it. Or, pivots have to be made because the set has to change halfway through and you're like, we just have to go with it because it has to happen today.
yeah,
And I think whatever was happening with season 9 and getting feet under Iffy and finding the groove of that, it's so confident this season. It is so sure of itself this season. It's so much tighter. I think BDG also is like just being that consistent beat on the side, and it's so
yeah.
locked
We're,
in.
we're seeing a much more like Saltzman vibe from BDG, which is much appreciated. I loved when Saltzman would chime in with like a very weird or funny thing that he had found. I love that BDG is in the space more. But yeah, I mean, look, I know there are people out there who treat actually like it's Jeopardy, that they sit at home and they're like, I want to play along. That's the part I care about. I don't do that. Like I mean, obviously, like I play along, but my joy is the performers I'm seeing, and I think season 9 was great. I think season 10 is, like I said, the best that it's ever been, including every season that Trap did. And it's because, yeah, like I said, it's iffy has certainly found his feet as a host, and seems much more confident and comfortable, and doesn't seem to have lost his voice this season, which obviously is going to make things difficult if your job is to talk and you can't talk. But yeah, it's great. I'm excited. I love it, and I wish people on the internet weren't on the internet.
Including us.
Yes. Yeah.
I will now cast my wild speculation slash wish list for the future of I'm actually, again, VIP exclusive style. I with how
Also, can we just say the number of times that Eve and Tamar put in the VIP exclusive like card? Mwah. Brilliant.
unbelievable
Yeah.
comedic timing. I was commenting after we watched it, like one of my favorite things that Sam has ever said about the way that they produce dropout shows broadly is that the humor is from the cast, the humor is not from the editors. And to some effect of that statement, because I paraphrased it, like the editors do not try to make the show funny. The editors take the comedic cues and like amplify the,
Hmm.
the beats of the comedy. And that was such a strong example of editing, taking the beats of the show and just lifting it rather than being funny itself.
Yeah.
So good.
All right. You're
Okay, I'm
actually
actually
exclusive.
prediction. Now that this season feels so sure of itself, so tight in its ability to like niche down, I want to see millennial Gen Z Jeopardy contestants come on to actually. I want Mateo Roach, Canadian legend, on that couch. I think Mateo would absolutely slay. I want it like if people are really going to draw that line between Jeopardy and I'm actually like, I think they need to go all the way with it and just bring on the most like ragtag cast of Jeopardy contestants, the all stars that they can find, put them on the couch, just have at it.
Oh, that would be so much fun. Yeah, I love it. I love
There's
it.
some really good characters in the Jeopardy cinematic universe that have come out in the last 2 to 3 years that I think would fit in Dropout so well. And while we have them, put them on the dirty laundry couch.
Yeah. Yeah, obviously, like they filmed another season of Dirty Laundry. We know that has happened, or I know. Well, obviously, like
Yeah.
that either has happened or is happening. Probably is happening. I don't feel like I've seen any pictures from set. But yeah, we know that's coming. So yeah, get that's another great branch because obviously they are trying to Dirty Laundry especially are trying to like move out. Like they did a jet lag episode, which I have now watched I think every episode of Jet Lag that exists. I got real into it real fast. Yeah, like I love getting to see a niche spot on Dirty Laundry of like, hey, here's all Jeopardy contestants. Here's all former Disney kid stars. Here's whatever other weird thing we can grab. Here's the Star Trek Lower Decks. Like,
Yes. I
brilliant.
love it. I'm so into it. If they want to do a Canadian couch, Lisa Gilroy,
Yeah.
Alex Sonja. I'm trying to think of all the Canadians that have been on Dropout. My brain just
I
immediately
mean,
fried out of me. But I want to
you've
see it.
claimed Vic, even though they are
Yep.
American.
Hey, we claim Vic. Okay, that's three. We need one more. Okay, well, shout out to all the Canadians on Dropout that just completely left my mind as soon as I said that. It's fine. I'm sure you know who they are. Put them all together. With that said, Jordan, what's coming to your Patreon?
This week was Denise Valentine, who did an interview in an IKEA. The biggest flex I've ever seen in my life. I was not her first meeting of the day. That I was second in line for her sitting with her phone on a desk in an IKEA. There are people that walk around behind her, absolutely baffled by what is happening. It is
Incredible phone battery happening with
yeah.
Denise Valentine.
I've never like it's so funny because next week will be Rick Perry. The following week will be Michael Schaubach. And the Michael Schaubach interview, I talked to him, and he was I mentioned that I had interviewed Denise, and he's like, Denise is so great. And I was like, she did the interview in an IKEA, and he's like, I thought you were going to be impressed with all the cool fantasy high stuff I put up behind me. I can't compete with an IKEA. And I was like, no, you can't. You cannot. It's wild.
Oh my god. You have an all-time lineup happening right now on the Patreon too. Even like
Yeah.
the interview with Becca Scott.
Becca Scott just went up
So good.
yesterday. That'll be up on the YouTube Tuesday, I think, because most of it is us talking about her Good Time on the Clock Tower, the Blood on the Clock Tower series, which I don't know if you've watched the first two
It's so
episodes of.
good.
It's
So good.
staggeringly good. I begged her to let me come play.
The interview is just a ruse to get Jordan in.
That's correct.
Well, I don't blame you. It's good.
Yeah.
It's good. No, amazing stuff happening on your Patreon. An all-time great lineup of interviews I think are currently happening with you, like some of the heaviest hitters that we are always speculating about here on the show. So as always, the link will be below for folks that want to go see. And happening on my YouTube and Substack, which if you're not subscribed here, you can get notifications for Dropout Drop-In here on YouTube, or you can get it straight to your inbox if you subscribe on Substack with your email. So that's also a very easy way to know when our episodes are going out, and it helps us make more episodes.
Yeah. You talked to the Queen.
Kind of.
Should be. Should be.
There's some stuff from meeting Megan Sussex from the With Love with Megan premiere in New York City. There's all kinds of Canadian content. If you don't know, we're going into Canadian award season, which means I'm just going to be shouting Vic's name from the rooftops for the next couple months. But there's a lot of exciting stuff that's happening. Yeah, the Megan stuff was wild and bananas, and I can't believe that that's a real article that's up on my Substack and probably will come to YouTube very soon as well. So lots of fun pop culture stuff happening between our two platforms and here in the Dropout Drop-In. And the other thing I wanted to say, it's the very end of the episode, so if you're listening, you probably definitely want this information. I finally fixed our podcast distribution. Yay! So you should be able to get this on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, anywhere you get your podcast. And if you don't see it, leave a comment and let me know, and I'll continue to try and figure out why.
As someone who just had to do that for my interview series, it's a lot.
It was a couple hours of trying to, I don't know what was wrong, but it should all be there now. So you can get the audio version of this, to see our faces. I love that for y'all.
Yeah.
Anywhere you can podcast. But we'll be back. Next episode, we're going to talk about
Make some
noise. Wow,
noise.
that was really good. We didn't rehearse that. Turned out really great.
Yeah.
But we'll wrap up the season and make some noise, and then we'll be right into the new season of Dimension 20.
It'll be time for a Titan takedown.
Time for a Titan takedown. We'll see you there.
Bye.